So long as like alchemy.
Steph Curry might have the weirdest pregame rituals in the league. We've seen the golf, the shot put, the football, the soccer, but what gets it done, gets it done. KD early on, deep three. Now Steph driving. He's going to pull up, step through, finish with the left hand. The Warriors were off to a hot start. Now he's going to test the range. This 28, 29, might be 30 feet. That's deep. He was also very active on the defensive end. 3 steals. Here we go on transition. You know what he's going to do. Pull up, skirt. So after the hot start, the Warriors were ready to pack it in and go play some golf or some Call of Duty or something, but the Nets were like, not so fast. How about D'Lo? Look at the sweet lefty, 28-3 for the snitch at Oracle Arena. Then Draymond Green, the roof's on fire. The third-year player, Joe Harris, out of Virginia, roofs Draymond. He's always got to use that right hand. Learn your lesson. After a series of terrible turnovers, the Nets forced Golden State into their worst second quarter of the season, just 13 points. Third quarter, Weapon X. JaVale McGee was unleashed. Remember, he's getting the start, but he came out lit in the second half. You see him jump the passing lanes and then reward the big man on the break. Stop out. Nets wouldn't go away, though. Got a lot of fighting him for a team with 20 wins. Jordan Bell on skates. D'Lo, shake and bake. You got to crowd him. Let's see if he's got a first step. Steph, transition, the pulley, and the pose. Golden State would eventually get it going here towards the fourth, and then this happens. Jordan Bell just returning from the severely sprained left ankle. He's like, why don't I go ahead and sprain my right? And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This ruined my night. The rookie hobbles off the court and collapses immediately as he hits the locker room. Warriors a little bit emotionally driven after that. Draymond hits his first 3 this year. I kid, but it feels that way, doesn't it? They then decided to put the champ clamps down on the defensive end, the turnover, the outlet. Iguodala's like, look back at it. Warriors eventually take care of business. All right, man. Another one, right? So this wasn't fun. Nets come out. What did they lost? 15-17, something ridiculous like that. And, you know, they shoot the most threes, all this bullshit. They're a gimmicky team that they don't know what they're doing. Anyway, I like Spencer Dinwiddie. D'Angelo Russell looked very good. We get up 20 on them, right? And then the slop begins. And it's becoming very frustrating. You know, now I was on Twitter, you know, letting out my frustration. And, you know, I think as a fan of the Warriors, all of us can speak and say, unless you go way back and even with the success in the 70s, this is uncharted waters for us, right? Attempting to reach 4 NBA finals, and you say, okay, there's got to be some sort of pacing. And you saw me like, you know, I misjudged Andre Iguodala, who clearly is pacing himself. But at this point in the season, with about 20 games left, you wouldn't think you would see this type of bullshit from the Warriors. Even though it's the New Jersey Nets, right? You think at this point in the season that they would be fully tuned up or somewhere near that point. And the thing that strikes me about these turnovers, right? I think they had 9 or 10 in the second quarter. It was a season low 13 points in that second quarter. Was that it's not enough that they win. They've got to win with style. And they are absolutely infatuated with the highlight pass. It doesn't necessarily have to be a behind the back or something crazy. It could be no look, or there's like a nonchalantness to the plays. There's kind of an attitude of like, look, man, we ain't even got to really try to beat y'all. And then it backfires in their face. And I think that that's a huge part of these sloppy turnovers. So that second quarter, yeah, it was an all-time bad second quarter. We really missed David West. He has a left elbow cyst, I believe he was ruled out with. I don't know what that is, if that's a skin thing or within the joints. I'm not sure. But he missed the game, and we clearly missed him. Now, KD stayed in. The rotation was skewed in the second quarter, and I haven't seen KD force the ball. He forced 3 or 4 elbow jumpers. I can't recall seeing him force that many shots as a Warrior. It was very interesting to see. He was off. I think he was frustrated. He wasn't getting the calls that he got, and so all of a sudden, the Warriors find themselves down going into the third quarter, and we kind of all knew what was going to happen. And that's part of the reason why the second quarter did happen, right? Because they knew they could get away with it. But if you notice, Steph, we got a little glimpse of MVP Steph, right? Where he went off. He really likes to feel needed. He likes it almost when we're down a little bit and he can carry us back. I mean, don't get me twisted. I'm not saying he wants to be down, but I'm just saying I think that it perks him up when the team needs him to start pulling up and do chef-like things at Oracle Arena, and that's what he did in the third quarter, right? And then Jordan Bell goes down. And it really ruined my night. I'm not going to lie. He looked really good. He had his bounce, his timing back, had a few dunks, and was looking really good defensively, particularly switching on D'Angelo Russell, the lefty who's got a lot of swivel to his game, right? And he was doing so well, and he goes down hard on the right ankle, man. He was like fully elevated, and I haven't got the X-ray results. It is the right ankle. Now, the left ankle was the previous injury, but I'm guessing 6 to 8 weeks, man. It looks like it's going to be a severe sprain. Hopefully, it's not a break. And so moving into the playoffs, man, I have to say, like, that was kind of the ace up the sleeve, right? That was the X factor going into a Rockets matchup. It was like, well, we haven't really had an answer for Capella, but we've got Jordan Bell on the way, and we kind of had him under wraps knowing he was going to be back and hopefully help in that series when it comes to fruition. So him going down, man, that really put a damper on everything. I could care less about the sloppy second quarter and the arrogance that the champs have shown after I saw Bell go down. He knew it right away, and he was frustrated. And then right when he hit the tunnel, you saw him collapse in pain. You knew it was bad, man. It wasn't like he stepped on a foot. He did step on a foot, but the thing is, he was up in the air, and I hate to say it, but he's still reckless. I've pointed this out even at Oregon. I noticed it. Because he's so athletic and he jumps so quickly and so high, he's in compromising positions every night. And this is going to be a trend in his career. And he's going to have to figure out when to play it safe and when not to, as far as challenging and just jumping around the rim and challenging shots, man. But down the stretch, the champs put the clamps on, right? And we kind of all knew it was coming, and they ended up handling business and doing what they do. And Steph was very efficient. Klay, they kept not talking about how Klay has struggled offensively as late, and I noticed he was in the game late, and he didn't really seem to be tripping about his points. He was still making that pass, trying to dump it down to Looney, who took Bell's minutes late in this game. But I had several people hitting me up like, yo, why is Steph coming back in the game? The telecast, Jim and Bob, kept alluding to the second unit extending the lead early in the fourth quarter. And they were like, well, it'd sure be nice to not have Steph come back in, not have Kevin come back in. And sure enough, 6-minute mark, Steph and Kevin even came in earlier than that, come to the scores table and come back in the game. At this point, it's about a 17 or 18-point lead. The game was well at hand. And people were asking me, yo, well, what's good? And I don't like it. And I don't like it either. And my answer to the question is Kerr is just simply too much of a player's coach. And I think that is at the heart of a lot of the problems we're seeing with this team right now. You look at the second quarter, and they brought it up. It happened in New Jersey earlier in the season. We were up 28 points and let them come back. Now, this has to reflect somewhat on Steve Kerr. And what I mean by too much of a player's coach is Steve Kerr being a player, right, and having a long career, he still kind of views the game as a player. And sometimes that's a positive and sometimes that's a negative, right? But sometimes, like, I think ultimately at his core, he views the game as a basketball player and not as a coach. And so when Steph wants to come back in, because players, don't get it twisted, all these guys always want to play all the time. Unless they're banged up or they're really tired, they want to play all the time. They want to pull up and hit threes, even in garbage time. That's even more fun, right? Everybody wants to be on SportsCenter. I don't care how many MVPs you have. So that's on the coach to hold these guys out, right? And Kerr just looks at it as a player, right? And he's too much of their friend sometimes. And that also leads into the issues of these blown leads and these sloppy starts. I think it's just too loosey-goosey, man. And it's remained to be seen like how this is going to play out. Obviously, the success speaks for itself, but there's so much talent and the team is so special. I think a part of Steve Kerr is kind of like, man, I just don't want to mess this up. I don't want Steph mad at me, or I don't want KD. I don't want to start a drama by not letting them go in and play a couple extra minutes. I don't want to mess it up. It's such a good thing. I don't want to mess it up. So he might coach a little tentatively or lean a little too much towards being a player's coach. Because I know one thing's for sure, man. Popovich, Carlisle, some of these other top veteran coaches in the league, we wouldn't see these quarters like this. It just wouldn't happen. The star players would be held more accountable. Now, big picture in the long run, will this pay off? Will we have the juice we need to finish off the season and go back to back? We're going to see, right? Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.
You seem pretty upset when you got that call. I mean, did you think it was? We're hearing it's mild. Did you?
Yeah,
think
I knew it was mild, but I was just frustrated out there, just coming back from this ankle injury to this happening today.
So, I mean, I know they're listening day to day. Do you feel like this is short term?
Yeah, definitely short term. It was just a minor ankle sprain. Definitely wasn't like this when I twist, I guess, the right way for ankle sprain. The other one I went the opposite way, so it's not that serious.
Did the left ankle sprain feel completely different?
Yeah, see, the left, I couldn't even walk on that one. Like, I put weight on it when this happened. I couldn't walk. This one, I walked all the way back here on my own weight, so it's definitely not as severe as this one.
So was it more the fear, just I guess, when you were showing that emotion, was it more the fear that maybe damn, I may have done it again?
No, I knew it wasn't. I for sure knew it wasn't the same kind of injury. The pain was dramatically less. It was just frustration just from coming back from this one. It was just frustration just because I just came back from this one to this one. And I was just saying, like, I can't stay healthy.
Your rookie year, for this to happen, 2 ankle sprains in a row, I mean, how frustrating?
It's very frustrating, especially for me. I've never really had, like, serious injuries. Like, I broke my foot one time, that was the only thing. Like, I've never missed the basketball game since high school, college, other than my foot being broken, so very frustrating.
How do you balance just kind of, wanting to chase shot blocks like you always do, but knowing you can,
I mean, that's just part of the game. It's just there's things you can do to try to prevent that. Like, you have a Delos machine that is supposed to help you, like muscle memory, if you happen to land on somebody, to like quickly react to it. So I just need to get on that more probably.
Do you remember that moment when you were lying on the floor and you started thinking?
Yeah.
What exactly was going through your mind?
I was just saying fuck. Fuck, yeah. That's all I was just thinking about, fuck. I was just mad, so fuck was fuck. Yeah, that was about it. I probably can't write that.